All right.
Morning.
Hey, hey. Good morning. Good morning. I'm out here on my daily walk.
Oh,
And
good.
I'm going to remind me later. Let me see if I can screenshot this place. It's two guys that I met while I was walking past here. And they said that they work at both of these places. Oh, that's one of the guys right there. But remind me to talk about this a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So on the agenda today was a question from a friend of yours.
There was a question. I'm going to read it now. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right. I'm just going to read the conversation because eventually we're going to get in question format. But again, we realize that conversations work better with us anyway. So here we go. So the message was sent. She said, so question, I don't know if someone else is going through it, but no matter how hard I try, I can't shake the feeling of being alone. I help everyone and their mama, but when I truly need help and bring myself to ask, they scatter like roaches and it leaves me on E, makes me talk bad to myself and sets me back for a few days. How do I become okay with being the wind under everybody's wing, but people can't even turn on the faucet for me? It was in the morning, so I was running. So my response was, okay, I understand that I've been there. You're valid and feeling the way you do. We just have to start and wiring how you got there. Are you okay with Susie and I speaking to this? Of course, I won't say who you are personally. Also, do you have specific events we can help talk through with you? And I'm so sorry that you're in this season. And so she said, yes, tons. But today's small event was a neighbor asked if she could help me with a board I was making for my son. I said, sure, gave her the board. 4 months went back, so I asked for the board back today and nothing is done. Why did she even bother me? Yes, this is small and stupid, but it falls on top of the other small and stupid times someone didn't do what they said. More dramatic, I had a miscarriage 2 months ago. I was 3 months pregnant. So at this point, I told her I'm driving, but keep typing it to get it out. And when I'm done, I'll respond. I will say you're going through a lot and all your feelings are valid. And I mean a lot. I can't dismiss this new trauma and it brings up the old trauma. So then she said, I just needed someone to hold me, listen to me, or simply be there. I had to deliver my baby right before a DSC alone because my husband couldn't find the strength to go. My sister was in her feelings and there was no one. Once it was over, same day, got to get back to normal and has been that way since. No mourning, no acknowledgement of the loss, just keep moving. And I still am, but I find myself crying alone a lot. There's so much, but I don't want to dump as you all say. I was just alone with no one to talk to, so I keep it in until I have a breakdown. Then I break down for 2 days, pull myself together and move on. But nothing changes. Everyone always expects me to smile. No reason to be sad, tired, and angry about anything. And no one can live like this. And so I told her, you aren't dumping. If I couldn't take it at this time, I would not have invited you into sharing it. I understand you have space. I understand and have space for you in this season to sit in it with you. She says, I know how I got here. I just want to change it. Change the feelings of no one likes me and I have no friends. But when things happen, they are validated with people's actions. I've always felt hated and disliked by everyone. It started with my mother and my sisters. And as I got older, it became more and more apparent I was not people's cups of tea, but I was the person they can rely on. So my response was, okay, I don't want to speak to Susie. I spoke to her and we will do a conversation and I'll let you know when it's posted to speak to you in the season. If we don't do enough, tell us how, where, and we'll go deeper. We want to make sure you hear that you're okay right where you are in the season and how to cope and move. I also personally want to tell you, you are different and that's great. Had it not been for you, I wouldn't have pushed further, questioned more to require more of my faith and people I'm with. You made me see that there were no churches that look like what we really need as a people. And it caused me to start my own this year with truth, working on mental health, healing, helping people for real, and honoring the true God, not this pretend one that they have. You're wise beyond your days, and I'm honored to walk beside you in many seasons of life. Her response was my heart, no words besides that. Thank you. I really needed that.
Okay. So is there somewhere that you wanted to start with that in a response?
How about I let you go and then I'll add to it specifically from Black women's experience. And we're gonna explain why we do that too to everybody afterwards. But I want to hear what you got to say first, if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so the first, I'll go in the order of what was said. The first thing that I thought to address was the feeling of being alone. And she said it was in the sense that she's helping other people with so much, but she doesn't feel like she has anyone to rely on, or those same people aren't reciprocating any help for her. So she's giving more than she's getting. And this is really common with people who are, I mean, there's a variety of kind of labels for it, right? But I think as women, we're in general very others oriented and we're very into helping. And then there are those of us who are maybe naturally more empathetic, or after having gone through so much, become more empathetic and want to alleviate the suffering of others. And then there's also like, I'm a heart chakra person, so I'm always wanting to like show love to people, and that's one way that you can do it. So the thing is, what I've learned, because that it really can turn into like self-sacrifice to the point where it affects you the way that it's affecting her. I've been through that, and I had to, it's awkward for us, right? Since we're so others oriented, to prioritize ourselves and to be able to say no. It keeps that balance in place when it's necessary and when it's important for us and helpful for us. What's tricky about it is because we do identify so selflessly that we kind of don't notice or have that gauge in place. But once you get to this place where you identify that, wow, this is really negatively affecting me because I'm giving and giving and giving, and I'm not getting anything. There are spiritual concepts around this as well, of course. But yeah, so you have to be able to put yourself first. And the reason why that seems so awkward is because we think, oh, that's selfish, but there's literally nothing selfish about it. You're able to give more authentically and more fully when you are taking care of yourself. And I mean, as above, so below, or however you want to word it, if I'm on empty, there's nothing for me to give. And it's really kind of contradictory to our nature that like, I want to be giving and I want to be giving. Well, it starts with you, right? So like the golden rule, do unto others as you would do unto yourself. If you're not even doing it for yourself, then it's going to sabotage everything that as is happening, right? So I would really encourage just to take a breath and be honest with yourself about what your needs are, and to make sure that you're addressing those. And you absolutely have to find a way to be able, and it's only difficult because we make it difficult. When people ask me for something, and I have to say, oh, maybe later, they don't get angry with me. They don't like, that's all in your head. So don't worry about it until it becomes an actual reality. Don't worry about anything.
And if they do, that's their business.
Correct. Yeah. So if that does happen, or if that is why you're giving so much, is because they're very demanding, and you put a boundary in place, a very healthy, safe, protective of yourself boundary, that like, hey, I can't be stretching myself thin. I got some things to take care of for me. If they respond negatively, then that tells you that maybe you need to adjust this relationship as well.
Yeah.
She said she felt alone from that. And that's what I would say, is because you're any of these like things that manifest in our body, it's a signal, right? That something's off. And so that you're not taking care of yourself. And so that would trigger like negative bodily reactions or feelings. Like obviously you would feel alone, or I think it's obvious, or I've experienced this. So it's just a friendly reminder from inside of you that like, we got to make some tweaks here to what's going on. You do have the power to do that.
So good. So good. So yeah, let me see, where do I start at? Gosh, because you just hit so many angles and I wanted to just run right aside. Okay, spiritually, I again, Sue is the professor who could talk from so many other different cultures. I'm very specific on Black cultures and Black topics. So, and this is a Black woman, so I'm going to answer it to her in this perspective for a reason. So first off, I know one of the issues is in the faith, and I'm so glad that Sue said that. That's always brought up to us about, well, Jesus this, and if you're a Christian this, and if you're a Christian that. Let's just go with the real word. Jesus, when that man asked him, what are the main commandments out of all the 10 commandments God wants us to follow? First, let's just say in the 10 commandments, these Christians ain't even following that. When you ask Christians what's the 10 commandments, child, they don't even know that. Okay, just saying. But anywho, so asked him, and he said, love God, love your God, your Father with all your heart, all your mind, and your soul. He said, what's the second one? He said, the second one is just as important as the first. And he said to love your neighbor as yourself. See, the thing is you cannot love someone if you don't love you first. And so you're giving out a sludge. It's unintentional sludge, but you're giving out a sludge when you do so. And then you're reacting and everyone else is reacting around you. And like Sue said, if they toxic, they just toxic. And now you can do about that. But the ones who aren't, who really have a genuine love for you, they're confused. They don't understand. And so as a Black woman, it was very hard for me in my mental health walk to go alongside my spiritual walk because I had never seen anybody talk about both. Although I know many women who are in the ministry arena and the therapy arena or in the education arena, they choose to not bring it into their own personal lives. They just assimilated it being white shit or white hot wash or whatever the case may be, which is what happened to me. So, for instance, I've shared with you guys before, and I'll share it again. I have PTSD, I have severe depression, I have anxiety. When you see girls walking around with this on their head, they probably in the depressive stage, and they probably just making it, and that's the best that they can do at that point. So maybe instead of attacking them for their looks or the fact that they don't look as fresh as they normally do, maybe just walk beside them and see how you can help them. That was just a free caveat for all y'all judges out there, just so y'all aware of what it looks like. All right, so anywho, what I had to learn was that it was that don't be afraid of the labels, more so than understanding how to combat it. Like a lot of times, Susie and I told you guys this on the last recording. We both had seasons this week where we were not in the best space. So we didn't even want to speak into your lives why we felt like that. I'm in a transition season right now. I'm still in my best space mentally, but physically I'm in a transitional season now, which once it's all over, I'll speak about it. But right now I can't because I'm in a test. All right, so let's go back. So because we don't know what the symptoms and signs are for mental illness, a lot of times we're doing these signs and these symptoms, but because our culture in particular has said that you're weak or you're crazy or whatever else stigma that they put on it, we don't even recognize what it is. Nonetheless, we definitely don't recognize what's going on, which thus means we don't recognize how to handle it appropriately. So Sue and I have this thing, we said eventually we'll do this segment. What's the name of it, Sue, that you wanted to call it?
Oh, I don't remember. Have you something like that?
I thought you were joking, like, do you have memory problems too?
No, this isn't, well, it might be my memory problems, but it was like, have you ever, wasn't it?
Have you ever? Because in treatment, when Sue and I were in this program together, that we were away from our families for a month to do, I used to lay on the floor when we had break, and I would just say, hey, Susie, have you ever forgot what you were gonna say when you were saying it? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that happens to me a lot. Then I would say, I wonder why. And then Susie would say,
I don't wonder why. It's because we're both like, you have PTSD.
And then I would say, maybe so. I did this poor soul for a month. It took a month.
About your diagnosis, yeah.
I knew everything about it and still wouldn't accept it. I continued to challenge. And no matter how much therapy I did, those therapists wouldn't have got through to me if it wasn't for a sister that I had in Susie to say, yeah, I have those exact same things and it's normal. And it's because you have PTSD, Shonda, that at the end of the program, everybody else had these big, lofty world mindsets of where they got. And all I had was I got PTSD, because that is how hard it is for us to even accept it, to even look at it in our culture. Because I think I was the only Black girl in that program, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody else had accepted it. I was the one that kept fighting it. And that's what I mean by culturally, I'm not a big subscribe to people's organizations and all of that. But when I say Black Lives Matter, I'm not talking about that organization. I mean, because this country has done so much to my people that even now they're continuing to gaslight us to make us even think that we can't heal and it's not possible. So I say that to say the real you is the one that's inside that's raging, that's saying none of this is right. I just don't know how to get to getting it right. I say that to say you are not crazy. I say that to say that you just have to get along with the right people. Susie and I are here. You can continue to write us if you have more questions, as you research, as you read books, as you go get therapy, as you find safe people. Whatever you need to do, you claw your way through it. You notice that I'm normally walking when we're recording this. Well, I'm a mother, so I don't get that much me time. So these are my me times. And before we record, we have to have an agreement, because Sue don't play that with me, that I must have my me time in before we record, because she doesn't want it to be connected, because that's a friend. Okay. So until you find those, continue to link in here. Ladies, continue to connect here. Guys, continue to be safe places for the ladies, because it's needed and it's necessary. We're struggling out here, y'all. It's real. And I applaud you for even saying what this is and what you're dealing with too, because so many won't. We just keep stuffing and stuffing and stuffing and erupting. And then we feel guilty and bad when we erupt. Then we try to say we're sorry and do stuff. But deep down, we're not sorry for the pain. We're sorry for the reaction. And so we need to acknowledge that too. And child, I'm preaching, so let me calm down. I got excited. But yeah, go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, because that was the other thing she mentioned in her message, that she recently had a miscarriage, and that right before she disclosed that everything, all these small things, as she called them, had been adding up, just piling up on top of each other. And isn't that exactly what it feels like when we're going through that? And this isn't to, like, we say PTSD, but this isn't to say, oh, you had it automatically diagnosed. Don't worry about that. The point of this is just that you have things that you're feeling, and you have a right to feel those things. It's perfectly normal. It would be abnormal not, or yeah, if you went through that and you didn't have these responses and reactions in your body and in how you live. So yeah, that's very, you're not alone. And just address what you're feeling, whether it's, and even when you have a diagnosis, those go away, right? So don't get so subscribed to that as well. And we were just talking earlier today about how interculturally there are differences as well. So what PTSD looks like, or any illness period, not just mental stuff, mental health related issues, it manifests different in different environments with different groups. So don't be so attached to these labels. Just focus on your own healing and doing whatever that takes. So with an event like a miscarriage, which I'm not going to pretend I know what that feels like, but I can understand that it's very traumatic, or it can be. So those other things, you said that they're small things. Well, small things aren't small when you said you didn't have a chance to grieve. And I remember before I started therapy, I would just, like, I think every day, just go to the bathroom and cry during work. So that's totally normal. You're not alone in having or in experiencing this.
I still do that sometimes, even
of course
today.
We get triggered, and it happens still to this day, decades later. But it's manageable, right? We understand that it's a release, and that's all that your body is telling you. You admitted that there wasn't a mourning period, which is so insensitive to, it's very culture specific. Most cultures have I'm not going to teach We're really unfair to ourselves because we don't give ourselves what we need, including this opportunity to take care of ourselves when we really need it. Like you said, you feel like you just want to be held. You just want someone to be with you. So as much as we can, just with words, we're telling you that we're with you and that you're not alone. There are a lot of other people going through feeling exactly how you're feeling right now. But we're here to say and show that it can and does get better. And you just have to take ownership that you want to take steps towards doing that for yourself because you deserve it. So you don't have to keep stepping this down, and you will find a way to process everything that's happened to you. And the small things will become more manageable once you take that power back.
Oh man, yeah, that's so good. Yeah, that's so good. I agree. I was also thinking, and I know this is kind of off topic, but I'm saying it because you mentioned that you're a mom of boy, so not you, Sue. I'm talking to the writer, but you know, one of the things that I've also learned in this healing is we have a lot of motherhood wounds. Our boys do. A lot of what we're going through as mothers with the pain, if we don't know how to calm it, and the rage comes in, it interprets differently to the boys. We're going to teach a little bit more on feminine and masculine energy in the future and what that needs to look like. Particularly, I say boys because they think differently than us. Now, granted, you're in a married relationship, so this is going to look different for you than it will for majority of our people in our culture, which is over 70% that are single moms. But I know everybody talks about not letting a boy cry and being on a boy, but culturally, we're not allowed to cry either as girls. And so before we can release that to let our boys know that they're safe, we got to release it in ourselves, because our boys begin to find who they are in their masculinity and our femininity. And it's misconstrued how it's done. If it's toxic femininity, which is what we've been dealing with and seeing a lot in our culture, it is what has really been affecting and bothering us. So yeah, I just want to piggyback when she said, look, we still cry, we still mourn, we still have fits, we still take our walks, we still stomp our feet, we still take our trips to just sob and get that sorrow out of us. We do all of that because it's necessary. The difference is we don't hide it. We don't have to hide it anymore. We don't have to go and stuff our mouths and stuff our mouth on a pillow and bite really down the screen so we don't get whoopings for having sorrow. That little kid is safe now. It's you, and you can go back and heal that little girl. You don't have to do those things anymore. You can literally go within you and say, and now I'm breathing because that's what I did when I read your message. I had to breathe through that because that was deep. That was a lot of trauma that I read, and I'm an empath too. And so I felt all of your pain, even through that letter. And I had to breathe that sucker in and out a few times. And when you breathe and you catch your breath, you ask yourself, this is what I ask myself every morning. Shonda, I don't give a damn what's on that schedule, because what's on that schedule ain't how I feel right now. Sometimes if I got to cancel some stuff, I'm going to do it, because I got to say, how do I feel in my body? How do I feel in my body? What do I need to fill my love tank today? What do I need to feel love and whole for me today? And whatever that is, I give myself. And that's what you're going to have to do too. However that looks for you. It might look hokey the way that I did it, because it was hokey to me at first. A lot of things they made me do was hokey, honestly, but I had to learn it and I had to become me. And then once I started pouring into myself, I started being able to say, no, I can't do that because I'm at my limit. I don't even need to tell them I'm at my limit. Just to know it's a complete sentence. I started learning that. I started learning that I was codependent. And I started learning what codependency meant and what it looked like. And then I started learning what I had to do with that codependency to get beyond it. It's a process, it's a journey. And it's beautiful, as scary and hard as it is, but it's worth it.
Totally worth it. Yeah, it's almost like reversing everything that we were told about what, the nurturing that we didn't get, we have to start doing it for ourselves. And yeah, our culture too, I'm Mexican American. And if we hurt ourselves, or if we get hurt, our parents call us stupid. So I make it a really intentional point to myself that if somebody hurts me or if I feel hurt, like I tell myself, this is not your fault, you're not stupid, whatever I need to do. And it's really unfortunate that it's like that. And with the codependency, that's, I mean, you shouldn't, I mean, I hate the word should, but as a child, you don't want to be told that you're stupid for just like, it's normal, natural part of growing up. I'm not going to go any further. I lost my train of thought because I have PTSD.
No, you're absolutely right.
Oh,
And
'cause
that's
you
in
said
our culture too.
right? Yeah. So your
Yeah.
parents are treating you in a way that's not optimal, and this is across cultures. I'm sure a lot of other people are, subjected to this. But then you have to do what they say, right? So that ingrains codependent type of behavior from an early age. It doesn't have to be an abusive or alcohol. It can be some those types of things that are everyday occurrences in our respective cultures.
No, I'm listening. I'm sorry. I'm also a mother. And because of COVID, the class was shut down. So
Yeah, we
he's
kept it
like
up though
running
too.
his mouth. No, it's good. He was just letting me know that they're on break at the same time, but I'm just sitting here listening. I'm being mom, so I'm in two places at one time, which I shouldn't do, but I must.
Do what you gotta do. No, I was done. If you're done.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have that same thing in our culture too. Thanks for sharing that. But yeah, are you dumb? Are you stupid? Are you, making fun of? We kind of shared some of that even in the last letter that we did. Like, we are just so rough on each other that love
I
was just not normal, is what it really boils down to. Love was just not normal for us. And um which this says if love is not normal for us, then how do we expect anything else to be normal? So now we have to learn what love even looks like. We know what it sounds like, we know what they say it is, but we always attribute that for other people. So now we have to figure out how to make that fit for ourselves. And then in creating healthy, loving boundaries, we'll be able to go through it. But I'll be honest, it's not going to be an easy process. It was not apples and peaches and cream for me. It still ain't, but it's so much more worth it and necessary because at least I know what it is and I know how to handle it and I know how to mitigate it now. Versus just feeling like you're in a, I think I explained to Susie, it's like feeling like you're in a dark room. Um, and you're trying to find your way through a dark maze and you just keep bumping into everything trying to get out to get to the other end. At least this time the lights are on.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So maybe we can talk about boundaries next time, or another question from the group. But it was really good chatting with you, Shonda.
So good, so good. Yes. I know we were going to talk about something else, but this kind of ran over. So
Oh,
no.
random
We will.
it's out of
No,
time.
let's keep it. Yeah, let's keep it here because I think this was very necessary to just have this and leave it. And then I don't want the other part of the conversation to get lost because I don't want us to be too winded and people just be like, all right, they talking too much.
Okay. Okay, everyone, you're doing great. There's nothing wrong with you. Can't wait to hear from you all. Bye, Shonda.
Oh, also, I want to know what's your thoughts about a book club that we could start in January, where maybe I recommend a book 1 month, Sue recommends one. So I do 6, she does 6, and we kind of see and grow together there too. Just kind of ponder on it. It came to me, thought about it, but I'm sorry, Sue. Sorry I threw that out there last minute.
That's a good idea. All right.
All right. Bye.
Adios.